Welcome to the Coaching Edge podcast with your co-hosts, Dr. Steve Jeffs and Erwin de Grave. Each episode, we bring you expert guests and transformative coaching insights. Let's dive in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Coaching Ed podcast with your co-hosts, Dr. Steve Jeffs and Erwin de Grave. And today we are talking to my long friend, Frankie Picasso. Hello, Frankie. How are you doing today?
Erwin, it's so great to be here with you guys. I love the big smiles. It's so sunny and positive. What a great place to be.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So we could try to introduce yourself, but you know yourself much better than we do. So who is Frankie Picasso? What's her connection to coaching? What does she do nowadays?
Well, let's see who showed up.
Exactly.
Okay. I am a certified master coach trainer. I am a best-selling author of 5 books. I'm a social-preneur, an artist, professional artist, radio, TV host. I founded the Good Radio Network, and I just co-founded G-Woman Media, which is a global digital media broadcasting and distribution platform. And in a nutshell, I would say I'm a champion for change.
Tell us a little bit more about what you mean by champion for change.
I believe that nothing is impossible. And I have a site, a coaching site actually called Rent the Believer. So Rent the Believer is really about, as a coach, I believe in your dream. I love entrepreneurs who have big dreams. And I hold that dream for you until you can believe it yourself, that you can succeed at that. And so I think that's really important to allow people the space to breathe and dream really big. Even if it's not going to come true, that's okay. Just do it. And then you can bring it back, to a manageable place. But I say I specialize in the impossible because I am possible. Yeah.
I remember that you used that in the past, the impossible coach. I remember that.
Unstoppable coach.
The unstoppable coach, that was it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm still doing Mission Unstoppable. Yeah. One of my shows. Yes. I think it's a great place to be. My dad, he really showed me about being an entrepreneur and being a dreamer and allowing your children to dream. And I did the same with my kids. And, I remember my son, he was like 16. He wanted to go see a Jeep. This Jeep had, these Mickey Thompson tires and just crazy, all built out and like no floorboards, no nothing. We drove 2 hours to go to see this car. And I'm like, not going to happen. But anyway, we went and he couldn't even drive it because it was stick. So I drove it around and the tires were so large that they were hitting the frame of the car. And we drove away. Am I allowed to swear on the show? Anyway, we drove away. He goes, "Oh, Mom, it was really cool, right?" And I'm like, "Well, not, yeah, okay. It was kind of cool." And then 20 minutes down the road, he's like, "That was a piece of crap, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Now, a lot of people would have driven 2 hours to go and let their son drive a piece of crap that they know they're not going to buy. But it's important to dream. It's important to have those dreams and allow them that. And, to follow in. And if it went through, great. If it didn't, okay. But he learned a lesson. And I'm hoping that he does that same with his children and just give them that space.
Yeah, I love this about dreaming and just go for it and see where it ends up. So that's something that I've seen. I know Frankie already so many years and she's done like all different kind of project because she just dreamt it and let's go for it.
Yeah, it pretty is. Yeah, I guess we were talking about risk yesterday, and I think I'm a high risk taker, but I don't see it as risk. I see it as confidence. If you are confident that you can do something, you can do it, and that's it. It's not a risk anymore. It's a belief in yourself that you're able and capable of doing something. When I got a job with the government many years ago. I was the first female kickboxing promoter in the world. And I just come off a world championship title fight that I put on in Toronto. And 3 days later, I got a call from Solicitor General at the Government of Ontario. And they said, "Could you come and do a show for us, put on an event?" And I'm like, "How did you find me?" And they go, "I don't know, but somebody gave me your name, whatever." Okay, I go in. 7 years later, I'm still there doing all kinds of stuff with the government because my kids needed braces. And he goes, the first day, and he goes, "Do you know how to use a PC?" And I didn't know how to use a PC. I was a Mac user. And he goes, I go, "Yeah, maybe, kind of." And he goes, "Well, how long would it take you to learn?" I go, "Oh, I don't know, a couple hours." Just like, sure, I can do that. I knew I could do the job. The computer wasn't the job. The job was to put on special events. So that I could do, with my eyes closed. So I'm still learning PC, tell you the truth, but there's all kinds of things I don't know still, but it doesn't matter. I could do the job.
I think
I love that so much. That's really cool. Hey, 1,000 questions, but one that came out, rent the believer. What is important for people to have someone with their believer back? That someone behind them has their back around the belief. Like, what difference does that make?
Oh
Because
my gosh.
it sounds like you've got your own back and like, yeah, I can make that stuff up. Like, I'll get there. But a lot of people don't. So what difference does it make to have a believer at your back?
That makes all the difference in the world, Steve. There's so many dream killers and stealers. And I say the dream killers could be your best friend and they have the best intentions, but they're not an entrepreneur and they don't dream big. They dream small. They're not a high risk taker. They're a small risk and they don't see the vision that you see. And so they go, well, it's probably not going to work. Like people don't do that. But in your head, you're like, I know I can make it work. I know I can. But then they keep making it smaller and smaller and smaller to go, yeah, maybe I can't do that. But to have somebody with the vision and say, yeah, you can do that. There's steps. You have to take steps or whatever, but it can happen and it will happen if you, believe in it. That's the difference between go and no go. I really believe that.
I really love that. Like your story with your son really strikes me as being important in this space. It's like you've got a dream. Let's explore it. Let's explore the dream and see what it's going to take to make a reality. And he explored and I was going to say he drove, but he didn't. He sat with while you were driving. But he got to he had enough space to experience it, to be able to go, actually, yes or no, or tweak or evolve or learn. And this, yeah, to taste a dream before it's,
I guess, and my kids really, they remember stuff like that. Like my son was playing hockey and summer came. I live in Canada. It's a hockey.
That's
place.
like on ice. Yeah, not grass like here in England.
Yeah, ice hockey. And he really wanted to play in the summer and there was nowhere to play. So I started a rollerblade hockey team. I went to the arena and said, hey, can we rent this out? We're going to have a rollerblade hockey. And to this day, he goes, Mom, you did that. Like, that's amazing. Like you did that for me. That was their dream. They wanted to play. So I go, how can I make them play? It doesn't take a lot. It just takes a belief that you can do it. Right. Like, I really think that that's all it is. It's a belief and that believer that says, yeah, I can do that. And so you just do it. Like people think, oh my God, like, how do you get that person on your show? Well, you just called, didn't you? You just called me or you call whoever and they're happy to accommodate. Like people think it's just such a big deal, but it's not. It's just, they're people. They're just people. And you make a phone call and they say yes or no. Like, that's it.
It's a lot of people, it's like when they see the risk and
they say, I don't know. And I would like to ask you, Frank, is how can someone transform that risk into that I can do this, I can believe this, because it's an evolution that they need to make. Well, how do you look at work with people or when you have someone in front? What can you recommend them?
Well, thank you for asking that question because I wrote a book. I wrote a book. It was the first book I wrote. It was called Midlife Mojo. How to emerge as your true self. So it's really a prescription for change. And that book I wrote is called Midlife because you write to an audience. But it's really my daughter-in-law. She read it when she was 20. She goes, Mom, it's a prescription for change. Anybody can do this. And really, the formula is really simple. It's think. Think. What do I want? This is really simple. It's like 5 steps. Think. Feel. What would it feel like if I did that? How would I feel inside me? Be, and go and you dress like that person might dress. Think about, would they wear this top or would they wear something different? Would they wear a hat? Would they do this? Then you just model that behavior. You act as if. So I'm going to pretend that I'm Erwin today because Erwin, can open doors and I'm afraid to. So I'm going to pretend I'm him. And then as I've done that for a length of time, I do it for real. I just am it now. And so it's really just think, feel, be, act, and do. So that's a 5-step formula.
Yeah, just doing it. I think
Just
that a lot
do
of
it.
people,
Like,
just
I mean,
do it.
Nike says it, just do it.
Yeah.
But, before you do it, maybe you want to try it on. Like, in the book, I say, Shakespeare said all the world's a stage. And I say, if all the world is a stage and you don't like the part that you got, change that part. Nobody's making you stay Frankie Picasso. Nobody's making me stay in this role. I get to choose who and what I want to be, just as you guys can choose who and what you want to be.
Mm. People are afraid of judgment.
Oh, they're afraid of everything. Judgment is a big thing. Yeah. They're afraid of change. Change scares a lot of people. What scares me is not having change. Like I get to have a great big fear of that.
Explain
Yeah.
more, because I think that could help people to see that change is really good.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid of everything just staying the status quo and not growing and not, I read a ton of books. I like to take courses. I like to change. There's many iterations of Frankie. Frankie doesn't keep the same job. She adds to it. She changes roles. She does different things because it's more fun. It's more fun to do that. Like when you're just staying the same old, and it's like living in one room, it gets boring. Like change the room up, change the colors, change, you know, I, I don't know. I just afraid to just stay the same.
Mm. And
But
some
people don't have to change in your life unless they need to change. Some people need to change. You're afraid, one of the things especially when I work with women who are not in a good relationship, my biggest advice is never stay for money. Don't stay for money. Money will come to you later on. But if you need to leave, leave. And that's more important than staying, oh, well, I have a house and, I've got a car. Doesn't matter. Pay the piper, take the loss and go, and then get all that stuff back. It'll come. It's just stuff. It's just stuff. My dad gave me the advice when I got married. He goes, every woman needs her own bank account. Because even if you put $1 a week away or whatever, every woman needs her own bank. If you need to run, you got money. And he was right. He was right.
What's important about that?
Freedom. The ability to choose and be free if you need to. I think that's what's important, is that you can make a choice without fear of not having stuff, I guess. Yes, we need money to live, and yes, we need stuff, but I did leave my own marriage. I left my marriage until, with 3 little kids under the age of 5, and because I had to. I didn't have anything, and I didn't get anything from anybody, but I wasn't afraid to do it. I know that I'm independent. I know I can make money. I know I can stand on my own 2 feet, and I know I had to do it for my kids. So that's all the motivation you need to give them a better life.
I love that. I see something a slightly different answer to what you said. I think for me, the answer that I hear throughout everything you're saying is what's important is belief.
Yeah, it is.
If it's $1 a week sitting in a bank account, well, that helps me to believe that I could if I need to. It helps me when the circumstances show up, I can because I have, and now it's an option that I can start to consider. And there's something like it's a theme that I'm seeing that, it's all well and good to have dreams, but to be willing to consider it is something different.
Yes. Yeah, that step. Well, you know what? Here's an example. How many times have you watched television and you've seen a commercial come on and you said, I thought of that. I thought of that 10 years ago, but you didn't act on that thought. You didn't go further and create that thing that you thought about. So there's many of us dipping into that well of consciousness of ideas, let's say, but only a few people take that extra step and walk out of that pool and actually literally put that dream into place and make it a reality.
I've seen that a lot, actually. Personally, there's attachment I have to ideas. Oh, it's a good idea. Like you got to have the
I love
great
ideas.
idea. And ideas are super exciting, but ideas are just a possibility that's unrealized.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this courage, support, this belief, this action, this think, feel, be, act, do. The idea is just the first step. Like, what's next? And that's something I hear you're natural at. Like, it's just like, well, forget what's next. Let's go to what's after that. Um, and something
Deep
that
jump.
you're bringing.
Safety net What's that? Who cares?
Yeah, like this is really cool. What helps people to go from whoa idea to well exploring, owning, believing, and acting, other than think, feel, be, act? But like what else do you know helps people to go from idea to reality?
I think having other people believe in that dream with them, I think that does help. It's hard for a lot of people to walk alone. Unless you're super independent and really believe in yourself, it probably won't happen. And it depends on the dream. I mean, I had this dream. My 4 co-founders had a dream about creating this media company, this global media company. It's not something you could do alone. Each of us independently had radio. Each of us independently were authors. Each of us had all of this stuff. But you couldn't become a massive global company unless you had these other people in with you, buying into the same dream, looking in the same, going down the same highway, looking the same way, because it's just massive. And so partners help you. If you can find the right partner that you can partner with, that helps. Somebody who balances out the things that you don't have. Maybe you're not technical and they are, but you've got really good sales ability and they don't, or whatever. That kind of thing could really help to have a partner. But believe, or just don't talk about it. I think one of the big things is I tell people, don't talk about your dream. Don't tell people that you're going to start this. Don't until it's already in motion. So they can't kill it before it's a breath. They can't even, they have to, once it's there, it's kind of harder to make it go away. You've
How
already
does
spent
that
the money.
work? Yeah, because a moment ago you said you can't do it alone, and then you say don't share a dream. Like there's
Well,
a dance to that.
I
Like
think it
what's
depends on the dream,
of
but
course.
when you're talking to people, like attracts like. So when you're talking to people and somebody says, oh, I had this dream, or I really want to do this, and you go, oh, there's a like-minded soul. Okay, I can tell them about my dream. But your partners or your wife, your husband, people in your family, if they're not business minded, or if they've never taken a risk, they're probably not going to understand why you want to open up this pizza parlor when there's 10 others. But mine's different. Well, how is yours different? Well, we're putting artichokes on it, or whatever it is. Like I make it in smiley faces. It doesn't matter. I believe this is going to work and is going to work. Well, did you do due diligence? Yes, you must do that. You can't just be stupid and go, oh, I'm going to spend $1 million and make money. You have to do the work along with the idea. However, you can still have 10 pizza parlors around and make money, because it doesn't matter. Competition doesn't bother me. But look at all the coaches out there. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, what was it? I don't know if you saw the review somebody wrote on my thing years ago. Don't go to Frankie unless you want to change.
That's good advice.
Whip you. They will whip
I
you.
love that. What I'm hearing is 2 things. One, it's about discernment. Like know your audience.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm hearing is a metaphor. Like when we plant seeds, you don't just chuck seeds everywhere and expect everything to grow. And if you've got a seed that's important, well, pay attention to where you plant it, because you
Yes.
plant it in the wrong spot with the wrong people. And belief and ideas, I think, feels like a seed that can grow in the right conditions, but to pay attention to the conditions, to have someone at your back, to have people that are open and supportive, that are willing to drive 2 hours to see a car that's
You're
not
so
worth
smart.
looking at.
Yes, exactly. You get hit the nail on the head there. That's it. Exactly. Grow it where it's gonna bloom.
That's what you've done with your son, basically. He had a dream, and you did the due diligence to take him there and see, well, does it really make sense? And that he
Exactly.
realized himself, oh, well, actually, that
Do I
was
really
not
want
the
a car
thing.
that doesn't have seats and doesn't have floorboards? Tires that hit the rim every time? No, he figured it out. And so the next time he went looking for a vehicle, it was something that was a little bit more usable, right?
I think the most important that you just mentioned, and I wanted to go there, is you didn't kill his dream. He kept his dream, but you said what you focused on is not the right one to get your dream. And I
Right.
think that's important. So you you could have a dream and you need to test out.
that is what you do when you look at startups. They have an idea, they need to test the market. Does it work? Does not work? If it does not work, that does not mean you say, well, my dream is up.
Is
Oh
over.
no, I'll let test something else because it's going to work. You just need to find the right way to go. What happened is that a lot of people, they have a dream, they try once, and they give up because it
Exactly.
didn't work. And they need to continue. If you really, what you said, believe in your dream that you really want to do this, I think that commitment that you have to realize your dream or that idea that you have is so important to be able that you continue, even if you have obstacles or things go bad.
100%. I mean, there's a reason my show was called Mission Unstoppable. You have to stay, tenacious. You have to stay unstoppable. You have to keep fighting for what you want. The first time, that if first you fail, give up. No, you keep going, right? You have to keep going until you figure it out. But ideas, keep getting new ideas, keep dreaming, keep making it different, keep making it better. Tweak it, do things, and it will happen. It will happen. It might not happen in the way you first thought it was going to happen, which is okay. You don't have to be stuck on one way to do something. There's many ways to get to Toronto, not just the 401, right? There's many ways to get around Europe and not just the train. So you will get there, but you have to be flexible. And I think, in coaching, we talk about finding our values. We looked at what's your top 5 values? And my one of mine, and not even funny enough, but my co-founders, we're all flexible. We're flexible. That's one of the biggest values that we have. We can, turn on the dime and go, okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's go over here. Let's try this then. It's not a stopper. It's just, who I can't remember the coach that said it. Maybe it was Brian Tracy. Somebody said, it's not the deathbed or something like that. It's just a delay, have a failure, right? It's just a delay. It's just another way to figure out what's going to work.
And probably it's going to get something better. Even if you did the second, the third, or the fifth try, it's going to be better.
Yeah, we talked about founding this company 5 years ago. 3 years ago, we said, okay, let's do it. And 2 years ago, we founded a C corporation, and then things happened, life happened. We didn't do anything. And then 2 months ago, game on. We started the magazine. We just launched the radio show. Next week is the collective. After that, it's the TV station. After that is original, movies and things like that, scripts. So delay can oftentimes be a good thing because now the right people are in the right place and things are ready to go. The stuff that had to happen, somebody got married, somebody had this, somebody did that. That's all over with now. Now we're all ready to everybody's on their A game. So that's okay. It didn't happen 5 years ago.
So what you're saying is also, if something doesn't work, don't continue focusing on the thing because maybe it's not the way you need to go and you need to look at maybe something else.
Or it's not ready yet.
Or it's
it
not
hasn't
ready
percolated yet. Like our dream, we kept that dream alive for these 5 years. Like nobody said, oh, well, didn't happen, so we're just going to all go our different way. We were all like, still like, yes, that's happening. Just wasn't happening then. Right?
There's a difference between the dream and the path.
Yeah.
You create keep the dream alive. You try the different paths and they're not quite working, but you keep the dream alive until the path unveils itself, reveals itself, or whatever the language is. But I think the distinction between those feels important because a lot of us collapse the dream and the path.
Yes.
And the path doesn't work, and therefore the dream can't work. And so now I've got to find something else. And now we've lost that belief, we've lost that dream. But to stay connected to the vision, the dream, and the possibility, but to recognize, yeah, that's not the way. Cool. We'll get there. Well, that's not the way. Cool. We'll get there. Oh, we're making some progress. There's something going on here. But that's what allows that transition from what was a dream to reality that's emerging as we speak.
Yeah, you have to work the dream. Like the dream, you have to put in motion that idea. You have to work it. You have to take steps towards, even if it's research or talking to people in the industry or learning more. You have to work the dream. Like it can't just be, oh, I'm just going to do this and it's poof. It's fairy godmother makes it happen. You have to be your own fairy godmother and make it happen, or godfather, whatever the case is. But you have to make it
Completely
happen.
different image. You know,
I
the
know.
godmother, the godfathers.
The godfather. Yeah, exactly. I don't want a horse head in my bed. But, if it doesn't happen, if the dream doesn't happen, oh, it doesn't happen. Right? But
And if the
you're
dream
right.
is strong enough, the risk is not an issue anymore.
Oh, yeah. There's no risk. There's no
Well,
risk.
there's always risk, but it's you, because you cannot be risk averse, because you need to know what you're going to and what are possible risks on the road. Not the risk that something's going to happen to you, but you need to figure out, like with your new project and business, you need to look at, okay, what are possible risks so that we can see, is it right? Because you're not going to go, oh, I'm going to run and I don't know if there's going to be a cliff or not. Well, you need to know if there's something that you can prepare to be able to say, okay, that doesn't mean that you need to say, I'm not going to do the dream, but I need to know, okay, what is on the road, on that pathway that I need to take in account. That could be something.
It has to also be important enough that if you do risk everything and you lose everything, you're okay with that. You're okay with that because it was big enough for you that you were willing to do that. It meant that much to you. And I know this from experience because I watched it happen to my father. My father, he was, he had bought, got into a big deal, real estate development deal with malls or whatever in I think the 80s or something, and the recession hit. His partners pulled out and he was left holding the bank. Do you want to go bankrupt? And my father, there's no way he was ever going to go bankrupt. So he paid slowly. He paid it back. He was in his 70s, almost 80. He bought a new company to try to make money so he could pay them back. And he had lost like his dream, the home that they built like 10 years to build. He lost it. Everything was, his wife was like furious with him because he never told her about it, that he was doing this. If it had worked out, it would have been, oh, look at us, right? But it didn't work out, unfortunately. But it wasn't the first time he had done something like that. He had literally put the farm and the house and everything on another dream that did work out. So his experience is stuff works out. So this one didn't work out. The next one did work out. 80 years old, starting a new company, sold it 5 years later, but that's who he was. And he never looked back. He always looked forward. What happened before doesn't matter. It's what's going to happen tomorrow that I care about. Right. So I think you learn lessons from the past, but you really have to live in the future with a dream. You have to see it, like feel it, taste it, know that you want it so badly that you will risk everything for it. But you're not going in thinking I'm going to lose. You're going in believing you're going to win.
Yeah.
But if you lose, okay, c'est la vie.
And you mentioned something really important right now. Is you look to the future, but learn from the past mistakes so you don't make them again. So
right.
I think that is really important, because some people just go and they go in and they say, why do I have always the same thing? Because you don't learn. And certainly with the kids that you see, well, it's okay. Well, you didn't learn from what happened.
Yeah. And sometimes our parenting, we the same stuff comes out of our mouth again, right? And you go, oh crap, yeah, that didn't work. And you hear your parents' voice coming out of your mouth, right? And you go, oh my God, I didn't like it then. Why am I saying it now? Oh my God.
Exactly.
I just ordered a shirt. It said, I survived the wooden spoon. I love it. It's true too.
That's going to make sense to half the audience. Half the audience is going to be, what?
What? I don't understand that.
I'm half of that audience say, what?
Coming over with a spoon. Yeah, they used to spank us back in the day with a wooden spoon. Now my kid, I remember when my oldest came home from school, I think it was grade 4 or 5. He goes, "You can't hit me. I can call the police." I'm like, okay. I think Russell Peters does a bit on that though. Yeah, but until the police come, I can give you a spanking. Exactly. No, I'm not promoting beating your children.
No,
I'm not. I promise.
no, we don't.
Coach your kids.
Coach your, well, there's merit to that. There's something about this. Coaching, conversation, questions, curiosity, this concept of a dream. Actually, as I think about this, the juxtaposition of these conversations, it's like, well, often when we are reaching for the metaphorical wooden spoon or the habits, the reactive ways of being, it's because we've lost contact with the dream and what we want. And there's the element of controlling what's happening rather than co-creating what's emerging.
The fear
Like,
is coming out now.
yeah, like
Yeah.
what do you see as the impact of that, and ideas, tips to recover?
Yeah. Well, it really is, take a breath and know that fear is immobilizing, right? It's going to stop. It's going to stop everything. Where did where did you get off the path? What happened? What stopped that? And maybe talking to a coach would help you figure that out, because obviously an event or something happened that made you stop believing it could happen. So how do you get back on the right track again? Or maybe you're just not meant to do it. The dream's not big enough for you, or it's not real enough for you, or you don't want it bad enough. I don't know. But a conversation with somebody like a believer might be able to help you. But you have to figure out what happened. Like, what stopped you? Did somebody come in, and somebody that you really respect tell you that this isn't right for you, or it's not going to, happen for you? I mean, our subconscious, that's our hard drive, and everything is in our subconscious, and it really is the ruler of us. And so whoever programmed us, if that voice that programmed us, that was a really strong voice that programmed us, comes in and tells you something, you have to work against that voice, because your own voice has to be stronger than that voice, right? That's really, what we got to do. So figure out where the programming is, and where that voice is coming from, telling you, no, it's not right, or let's get back on track. Get that one back. Get the megaphone.
I love that metaphor. How can we get better at listening to our own voice?
That's really good. I don't think I told you guys that I was also a hypnotherapist. So being in trance state, I think, really helps. And for me, somebody's at my door. Don't they know I'm on air? Being in a trance state, for me, is the best when I drive. For me, that's the best time to listen to me and to bring up my intuition, and figure out what's going on. So it's really like, I find some people do it in the shower. Some people just sit in a dark room and, I can't do that. I have to be in motion. But driving is a really great opportunity to be in a trance state and get downloads from the universe, or just figure out, who you are. The other thing I really like to promote is understanding, feeling, and using your gut information. I'm really, really big on that. So you can test that. And I have tested it through the years. You make a decision, not on fact, but based on, your intuition, and then see what happens. Make them small ones. So, when it comes from the big one, you can trust that you know that it's working for you, that it's something that is operational. But I do, like, I don't get into analysis paralysis. I just ask myself, what do you think?
That's so cool.
Ooh,
So simple.
simple and easy.
So easy, right? Now, again, I mean, I don't go in blind, like, you're not an idiot, but at the same time, I do just use my intuition. Do I believe this person? Do I think this is true? If I'm getting a funny feeling, I act on that funny feeling, because there's something to that. I do believe that.
I heard three key things I want to highlight from what you just said.
Okay.
Uh, how do we get better at hearing ourselves? Well, we need to listen. That's one.
Imagine that.
It's so simple when we say it, like, and you pointed to creating the space where it's easy to listen, finding what works, but actually being A, willing, and B, intentional about listening to self. I think there's something profound about that. Two, you pointed to practicing listening to intuition, creating a safe space to experiment and try that out, to learn how not just to hear the voice and listen, but to, as you said about ideas, well, we got to put them into action. So we got to practice that, build up that muscle. And the third one just sort of short-circuited my brain a little bit. Well, if I want to hear what I've got to say about it, why don't I just ask me? Hey, what do I think about that? And then, of course, create that space for the answer. So simple, but there's something about, well, I've never thought to ask myself before. Oh,
You know,
oh,
like I talked about the subconscious, you know, being a hard drive, but it also is like a servo meter. And so when something new happens to us, it says, okay, this is new, but I remember we've done something similar to this. And so I can move the meter and say, yeah, we can do this. We just have to adjust for that. And we do that. And so we are prepared internally for these things, really. We just have to listen and figure it out. Really ask ourselves, you know, do I know how to do this? Okay, I've never used a screwdriver, but I've watched somebody use a screwdriver. I have a hand. I know how to, you know, turn things. Maybe I can do that. Okay, let me try. You know, we expect it from our children. Oh, you're going to walk and talk? Oh, okay, let's see it. You know, boom, you're going to fall down, but you're going to get back up. And kids are the perfect at that, right? They fall and they get back up. Why don't we fall and get back up? Because we're adults and we're afraid. The fear comes in, and this is it. Just, I don't know if you remember, you give somebody a cell phone for the first time. Oh, I'm afraid to touch the button. Something might happen. It might break. And then you see people swiping, go, oh, I don't know if I could swipe. That looks really hard. And now you're an expert swiper, right? Like, so easy. Yeah.
I remember one of my cousins, he's a computer expert, and when the computers came out, and you're going like this, he said, don't worry, it's not gonna break, just hit it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just hit it. Just touch a key. It's okay. You're not going to break it. Adults are afraid to make a mistake. Adults tend to be perfectionists in a way, but they are afraid to make a mistake or to look foolish or silly or dumb. So we would rather not try something than look foolish, silly, or dumb in front of other people, especially.
Yeah.
so true. And, you know, for
I
coaching.
don't know what age that stops, though. Sorry. Or starts.
Starts maybe. I think your question and inspiration, and hopefully our audience is reconnecting to this energy that you're bringing. And actually, well, we don't have to play that game. You know, we get to choose, and we get to believe that we can choose, because that's the essence of what we bring as coaches and as leaders. Is how do we give ourselves permission to see a future that doesn't exist and lead ourselves and others towards that, creating connection, creating alignment, and then learning how to make that idea become reality.
I love coaching for that. I love coaching because we don't have the answers. We have the questions. That's what we have. That's what we're good at. And so we ask good questions. You've got the answer. You're asking you inside of you. You go, well, I don't know. Well, yeah, you do know. Just let it percolate. It'll come up. It will be there, and it is there. And so you ask a good question, the right questions, and coaching can change you in a nanosecond, where therapy will take 15 years and you're still in the same place. So that's what I like about coaching, really.
I love it. Well, I'm looking at the time and not sure where all our time has gone today, but I'm super excited to learn more. I'm sure there's other people out there that would love to learn more about you, what you're working on, what's emerging, and of course, to be able to follow your dream as it becomes more and more reality. How can people connect and follow the work that you're doing in the world?
Well, thank you. My site is actually down, unfortunately, but you can just email me, frankiepicasso9@gmail.com, or go to gwomanmedia.com, and you'll find me there all over it.
I love it.
Or the goodradionetwork.com. You can find me there too.
Excellent. We'll put links below the video somewhere.
Sure. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Frankie. That has been time has been flying, like always when I talk to you. So it was great. Thank you for sharing all those dreams and what you can do, and you can do it. Everybody can do and get their dreams done. So thank you very much for sharing this. Thank you for everybody else for listening in. And until next time with the next episode. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye. Thank you, Frankie.
Thanks for tuning in to The Coaching Edge. Until next time, keep coaching and keep growing.